News 46. Local coverage you can count on.
The Pahrump Nugget is bursting with fun. With over 550 machines, we have the biggest slot floor in town. 5 levels of play and new machines arriving daily. Our huge pit is open 24/7 and is the most comfortable in town. Plus, we have the finest poker room. Play bingo, browse our gift shop, or enjoy the live entertainment at the stage bar. Our cosmic bowling show is out of this world. Children can play at Kids Venture or at the arcade while you get pampered at a Touch of Gold beauty salon. We also have 3 restaurants for your dining enjoyment, centrally located on the corner of Highway 160 and 372.
Their units for the sacrifice that they have given for our nation. I hope we all appreciate that as lives are lost, there are many, many families that are hurting this evening while we are here at this lovely dinner. I'm going to talk a little bit about my background. And I know that people like John Ponticello and Harriet and Naomi and so many others of you have heard about my background before, but not everybody has. And I want to share with you a little bit of myself so you know why I'm doing what I'm doing and what matters to me and why it does. I'm the granddaughter of immigrants to this country that couldn't speak English. They came to America to escape the Nazis. If we hadn't come to this country, I guarantee I wouldn't be standing in front of you because they would have been exterminated in the Holocaust. My mother's side of the family comes from Salonika, Greece. Before World War II, there were 80,000 Jews, I'm Jewish, 80,000 Jews in Salonika. By the time the Nazis finished, only 1,000 Jews survived. I'm not presumptuous enough to think my family would have been among those chosen to live. On my father's side, from the Russia-Poland border, there wasn't a single person left alive. But they came to this country before that happened. They couldn't speak English, they had no skills, they had no money. The only thing they had was a dream. And that dream was that their children and their children's children would have a better life here in the United States than they had back where they came from. I often think of myself as my grandparents' American dream, because not only did we survive, but we've managed to thrive. But I think even in my grandparents' wildest dreams, they never would have imagined that they would have a granddaughter serving in the United States House of Representatives and running for the United States Senate. Almost 50 years ago, we lived in upstate New York in a little town just about the size of Pahrump, probably a little smaller. My dad was a waiter when I was growing up. The economy in upstate New York in the very early 60s was very bad, and he couldn't make a living to support his family. So one night, he put my sister and I and the dog in the back seat of the car. My parents were in the front seat. Everything we owned was packed in a U-Haul hooked up to the back bumper. We drove across country on the old Route 66. My dad had a letter of introduction to get a job as a waiter in Southern California. Now, there was no air conditioning in the car in those days, and this was July. We drove across country. We got to Hoover Dam. There were signs that said Las Vegas, 30 miles. My father didn't really have a job. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. My sister and I didn't have to be in school. It was summer. The dog, we didn't think had any plans. So we decided to stop in Vegas for the night. We never left. One of these days we're going to unpack the U-Haul. It's so bad. We made a life for ourselves. in southern Nevada. The day after my dad got into town, he went down to the union, the culinary union. They sent him out to the old Sands Hotel. He started as a waiter. By the time the Sands was imploded, he was the longest serving employee that they had when the Sands closed, and he'd been the maitre d' for many years. I often say I didn't grow up in Las Vegas, I grew up with Las Vegas. When we came into town that summer day, there were less than 100,000 people in the Las Vegas Valley. We now have 2 million people. It was a remarkable odyssey that my family and I have experienced, and I've been grateful every step of the way. For me, public service is a way of giving something back to this country, for taking my family in, and for giving us the opportunities that we have. It's my job as a public servant to make sure that the generations that come behind me have the same opportunities that I had when I was growing up. Our nation is hurting right now. Nevada is hurting in particular. We have the highest unemployment rate in the country. We have the highest mortgage foreclosure rate. As you all know, I've come home faithfully almost every weekend since I started my service in Congress. There was a reason for that, because I wanted to stay in touch. I never wanted to be a public official that lived their life in Washington and lost touch with the people that I represented. So I come home faithfully. When I'm home, there's a common refrain, and it doesn't matter if I'm having a bagel in some restaurant, or if I'm shopping in Costco, or I'm cutting a ribbon or giving a speech. People come up to me and say this: Congresswoman, I never missed a day of work. I never missed a mortgage payment. I lost my job. I lost my home. What am I going to do? I can't tell this person who's bearing their soul to me and give them a litany of all the legislation that I've worked on and passed, expecting it to have an impact on the people that I represent. It wouldn't be right, because if it's not affecting them in a positive way, it doesn't matter. But I tell them this, and this is the truth. I wake up every day, and the first thing I think about is, how am I going to help fix this economy? How am I getting my people back to work? And when I go to sleep at night, the last thought I have is, how am I going to get these people back to work? Because I know what it would have been like if this was almost 50 years ago, and my parents had just come to town. And if my dad would have been laid off when he was at the Sands, I don't know what my family would have done. And things haven't changed. People need jobs to take care of their families. There's 3 issues as far as I'm concerned. They all have 4 letters: jobs, jobs, jobs. We have to get the United States of America working again. So how are we going to do this? Stephen mentioned it. Nevada could be the epicenter of clean energy production in the western United States. Going to renewable energy is not only an environmental necessity, not only an economic necessity, it's a national security necessity, because we don't want to be dependent on foreign oil, foreign dictators, and people and countries that don't wish us well. Nevada has an abundance of sun and wind and geothermal. We need to harness it, we need to build the transmission lines, and we need to get America, Nevada, working again. We can do it, we have to do it. Nevada has these gifts, and we are building these solar plants, these geothermal plants, these wind farms as fast as we can get the approval. Apex, 250 jobs for a solar panel project. Tonopah, 600 jobs. Pershing County, Lander County, we just have 2 new geothermal plants going up there. Each one of these projects required a loan guarantee. A loan guarantee, not a handout, just a loan guarantee. My opponent, Dean Heller, voted against providing loan guarantees for these fledgling renewable energy companies to keep people from Nevada from going to work. How dare he, at a time that we are suffering, use a strange ideology rather than get these people back to work. That's what we need to do. And he voted against it. I made sure that we got those loan guarantees and got those projects approved and being built. We need to create jobs here in the United States, not in China and not in India, right here at home. We need to manufacture things again. We need to be proud of ourselves. America builds things. That's what we're all about. I'm not talking about manufacturing in sweatshops, t-shirts, and things like that. We're so much better than that. We've got the best technology in the world. Do you know solar panels were invented here in the United States? Yeah. Do you know who's making all the solar panels now? China, except for a few. And they're coming back. And Aminex, Stephen was exactly right. Aminex in North Las Vegas finally building solar panels here in the United States so they don't have to be transported all the way from halfway around the country. That's what we need to be doing to get America back to work. And how do you do that? One of the ways is to end the taxpayer subsidies to corporations that are shipping our jobs overseas. Why are you doing that? You want a tax break? You manufacture, you bring your plant here to the United States of America. I'll give you any tax break you want, but no tax breaks for sending them overseas. We don't need jobs over there. We need jobs over here for very qualified, talented American workers. Dean Heller continues to vote for these tax subsidies for the corporations that are shipping jobs overseas. I'm voting against them. I know where my loyalty lies, and I know that my people that I represent need those jobs. Shame on him for that. And we have to help small businesses. They are the engine that creates jobs. So what do? You extend the tax breaks for small businesses that we put in place last year. They're going to be expiring in December. The Republicans are fighting it. We need to extend these tax breaks for small businesses. We need to make sure that the payroll tax, which puts about $1,000 in our pockets for working men and women, let's extend it another year. Let's make sure we keep people's money in their pocket. You know what? They get money in the pocket, they take it out and they spend it right away because they have to provide for their families. Let's extend this, and Barack Obama is trying. Republicans are fighting it. You know why? Beats the heck out of me. And let us keep our middle income tax cuts. I mean, we implemented middle income tax cuts for anybody making $150,000 and below. Let us help these people stay in their homes, take care of their families, provide for their families, make sure their children have what to eat on the table. That's what we have to do, and that's what I'm working on. People have asked me, why are you running for the Senate? You've got a good thing going in the House. You've been there 7 terms. You'll probably stay there forever, or at least as long as you wanted. The people you represent love you. I love what I do. Wasn't an easy decision to make. But I'm going to tell you why I decided to take this leap of faith. It was during the Ryan budget debates. Let me tell you about the Ryan budget, which my opponent, Dean Heller, voted on not once, but twice. And he said he was proud to vote for the Ryan budget. He is proud to end Medicare as we know it. The Ryan budget calls for a voucher plan that puts the health care of our seniors in the hands of the insurance companies. Let me tell you what the Congressional Budget Office said about this. They estimated that every senior under the Ryan budget plan would have to pay an additional $6,000 a year for the health care they're already getting. A third of the seniors that I represent in my congressional district, a third of my seniors have no other income but that Social Security check. They don't have family money, they don't have a pension, they don't have a 401k. They wait by the mailbox every month for that check so they can pay their rent, so they can pay for food, so they can pay their electric bill, so they can pay for their prescription medication, and if they want to get something to wear or shoes for their feet, comes out of that check too. Where will those people get $6,000 more to pay for the health care they already have? They can't do it. So what will they do? And Dean Heller is proud of that? Proud to end Social Security? Why would you be proud to end the most successful program that this nation has ever produced? Tweak it? Fix it? Don't end it. You know how much I love my veterans. I work very closely with them and have since the day I got into Congress. 40% of the homeless people in Southern Nevada, 40% are veterans. They served this country with distinction. They made extraordinary sacrifices for each and every one of us. They come back home, they can't find a job, they're living on the streets of our cities, not only here in Nevada, not only in Southern Nevada, but across the United States of America. For me, that is an outrage. So I have worked very hard with other members of Congress to create a voucher plan to get these homeless veterans off the street. We have been able to fund 600 homeless veterans living on the street and getting them into some suitable housing. The Ryan budget ends that housing voucher program for homeless veterans. Do we really want to balance this country's budget on the backs of our homeless veterans? I say I dare not look in the mirror if I cast that vote. Dean Heller had no trouble looking in the mirror when he voted for it, not once, but twice, to end that voucher program. Just leave those veterans on the street. Shame on him for that. I want to create jobs. My opponent voted against loan guarantees to make sure that would ensure that thousands of Nevadans would get back to work in good construction jobs working on those renewable energy projects in our state alone. I want to protect seniors. He wants to end Medicare and Social Security, and he voted for it, voted to ensure that it would end. I want to protect our veterans, and at the very least give these people some dignity when they return from the theater of war. He voted to leave them homeless. The difference in this election could not be more stark. It's who you stand with, what you stand for, and what matters to you. Dean Heller voted to protect the tax giveaways to big oil. Lorraine mentioned the amount of money that corporations are hoarding. Well, the oil companies have $1.2 trillion last year, and we're giving them taxpayer subsidies for what? I'm allowing veterans to sleep on the street, or this country would be, and we're protecting big oil? That's an outrage. He's voting to keep corporations that ship jobs overseas with their tax subsidies, instead of insisting they bring the jobs back and then we'll give them tax subsidies. And he is protecting the wealthiest Americans, millionaires and billionaires, insulating them from paying taxes, while we're telling our senior citizens and our veterans that they have to take a hit. Why would we do that when there's money available for this country? It makes no sense to me. We deserve better. We deserve better than Dean Heller. We must do better than Dean Heller. He doesn't represent me. He doesn't represent you. He doesn't represent anybody I know. But I do know this. I'm the only Democrat in the state of Nevada that can take him on and beat him, and that's why I want him to be Early on, when I first announced, there was a little rumbling. People said, you know, how is she going to play in the rurals? Well, I'm playing just fine. And I'm going to tell you why. Because it doesn't matter if you're a parent. I'm a mom. Doesn't matter if you're a mom and you live in Pahrump, or you live in Vegas, or you live in Elko, or Ely, or Winnemucca, or Lovelock, or any of the communities across this great state. What do you care about? You care about the same thing. You want to make sure you have a job and a little job security and some benefits so that you can raise your family, put a roof over their heads, food on the table, clothes on their back. That's what you want. You want to make sure your kid is going to get the best possible education in this country so that they can make something of themselves. Like Stephen, I'm the first person in my family to go to college. My dad has a 9th grade education. My mother graduated high school. They didn't care if I was pretty or popular in school. I was both. But they cared that I got good grades so that I could make something out of myself. And parents, moms care about health care. If their kids get sick, if they get sick, God forbid, they want to be able to have access to a doctor that they can afford. That's not asking much for anybody, and that's why I'm going to win this election, because I understand how people feel, again, in Winnemucca, in Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, Pahrump. We're all the same. We all care about the same things, and we all love our family and our country. We're in tough times. You know it. I know it. My office gets called all day long with people asking for mortgage relief, that we work with the banks and try to get them to do what the right thing is. Impossible situation. We're dealing with people that are having trouble with their unemployment. They're starting to run out. We're working to extend the unemployment benefits in this country. We hear it every day in my office. Terry knows. She's answering the phones all day, dealing with these people. But this is America, and we've experienced adversity before. We fought a civil war that tore the very social fabric of this nation apart. And then we came together, and we made a better country and a better world. We fought in World War I, and then we had a Great Depression, where far more people than now were out of work. And then we fought in World War II. And our men, and some women that fought, came home and picked up the pieces and moved this country forward to a great tomorrow. We will do that again. We will get past the adversity that we're experiencing now. We need to prepare this country for it, make sure our children get a good education, that we invest in ourselves and our future, and make this a better country and a better world for future generations. We've done it generation after generation before. I need your help in this election. I have no illusions that this will be easy. It will not. I can do this, but I need everybody's help. So I'm here tonight to ask you to stand with me and stand by me and fight with me, because you know nobody works harder than I do in Washington. I am known as the hardest working Congresswoman on Capitol Hill. Nobody knows the issues better than I do. And nobody fights harder for the people she represents. I want to represent all of you. I'm ready for this. I'm ready to do it. And with your help, I will be in the Senate fighting each and every day for you, your families, our fellow citizens, and for the United States of America. Thank you. God bless.